I don't know what kind of dad is buying one of those, but all right.
Listen, there's the daddies and then there's the zaddies. Okay?
Oh, all right. Well, to all the zaddies out there, y'all will get a day one day, I'm sure.
All of the boys, they wanna come to my yard. Touch up on my body cause they know I'm hot. All of the boys, they wanna come to my yard. Kiss up on my body cause they...
So, as we all know, let me sit up. I look like a potato. Alright. Okay, guys. Hey. As we all know, Father's Day is coming up. Shout out to all the dads out there. It's a big deal. I think you made a point a few seconds ago. You were saying how Father's Day isn't as celebrated as Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And I think it should be equal. Don't get me wrong. We all know moms do a lot, but I think that when you have an active, good dad in your life, he deserves his props. You know. So today we are going to discuss dads, the good, the bad, the indifferent dads. I'll start, I guess. You cool with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I really think that, like you said, Father's Day isn't as big as Mother's Day. And I feel like there are really, truly, like, some really good dads out there. Like, even dads who aren't, like, the most amazing. You know, they don't make 8 figures. They can't get you everything that you want.
The big Birkin bag.
Yeah, you know. I don't know what kind of dad is buying one of those, but, all right.
Listen, there's the daddies and then there's the zaddies. Okay?
Oh, all right. Well, to all the zaddies out there, y'all will get a day one day, I'm sure. But I feel like, especially for me, because I have, and I say have because I do. I have 2 dads, and I feel like some of us are blessed with, like, these amazing people, and we really don't sit and think about fatherhood and all that it entails, because it's easy to make a kid. Anybody can make a kid, truly, but it takes a lot to step up and be a dad, or like to commit to it, because some people, I feel like step up is such a weird like, yeah, like it's like, all right, well, I guess I gotta do it. Yeah,
not the dry boys.
Exactly. But like when you like commit to, like when you want to be a dad, like I think that's so crazy. Like what makes you want to do that? Genuinely, I want to know, like what in your brain says, all right, we ready, let's do it. Offspring.
And so it definitely takes a special type of man to sit there and step up. But yeah, like you said, I definitely don't think Father's Day is as big as Mother's Day. Like you'll see all the balloons and you'll see the flowers, the candies, you're thinking about your mom's gift like a month in advance, whereas like what is today? Father's Day is next week, really? Ask me if I have a gift for my dad, if I have any clue of what I want to give my father. It's so hard shopping for dads, but I don't know. Dads are different. And I don't know if it's also because we're women and sometimes men and women just don't get along sometimes. So I feel like sometimes it's also just like that behind the scenes relationship that definitely plays a major role in that connection that you have with your dad over your mom. And I see it a lot with girls where it's like, well, it could be anyone really, but usually women tend to have a stronger connection with their mother as they grow older, because there's certain things that they're going to go through that their mom's been through that their dad hasn't been through, and sometimes men just don't get it. So it's like like I know I love my dad, but mommy, what's up? Relationship, man, that relationship plays such a huge role. And I think also it starts very, very early on. So if you have like those awkward interactions earlier in your childhood, that definitely rolls over into adulthood. And I think that's something that, you know, parents in general sometimes don't understand. That, they say that, oh, it's just something that happened in your childhood, when actually it was something that was really traumatic in your child's life, or not even traumatic, but something that just meant something to them. Like I know one of my friends, she was saying how her father had called her a B word in an argument one time when they were, I think she was like in high school or middle school, but it was fairly strong, but they would really go at it sometimes because they were so alike that they were both very strong-minded, and you can tell like how alike they are if you were to meet them. So it's so funny, but she was just saying how she held on to that for so long, and then one day her dad was like, why do you have this kind of distance with me? She was like, well, when you called me the B word at so and so age, that really affected me. And he was like, I didn't even think that you would still hold on to that, but you just never know what can be said, what can be done that's really going to affect our relationship. Yeah. And I know a lot of women who, I don't want to say have daddy issues, but who just have had a different type of relationship with their father that's affected them as they've grown up.
The relationship definitely starts earlier on, and I think a lot of people fail to think about, and this isn't just for girls, but I think it really applies to girls. Your father is the first relationship that you have with a man, unless unfortunately he's deceased or something, like, which doesn't make sense, but your father is like the first relationship that you have with a guy. So it's like he kind of sets the stage for, I guess, what you would seek out.
Yeah.
For some people it's a hard no, and then for some people it's like, no, my dad's like really cool, like I want my husband to be just like him. And the same thing with boys, like your father is your image, or like kind of like the role model for what you should be like as a man. There's a song called Daughters by John Mayer, and if you haven't heard it, if you don't listen to John Mayer, I don't blame you. He has a very questionable past, but I personally heard it a few years ago, and literally whenever it comes on, like my eyes kind of start to well up, like it just hits different. And essentially in the song he's saying like, fathers, be good to your daughters, because fathers, be good to your daughters will love like you do. Girls become lovers to turn into mothers, so mothers, be good to your daughters too. Yeah, so basically he's telling fathers, like, you have to, with this role that you have taken on, whether you chose it or not, you have to set the right image. Because in the song, like, the girl that he's dating is like really guarded, she doesn't trust men, she has quote unquote daddy issues, which is a lot of undegreed, unlicensed psychiatrists walking around, or therapists that are just going around like, you've got daddy issues, you've got daddy issues. John Mayer is one of them. It's definitely like the first interaction that you have with someone like of that caliber, I guess. And right. I think a lot of men don't realize that. So when, not to speak on your friend's business, but when her dad made the decision to call her out of her name like that, just like, that shocked me, because me and my dad have gone at it. Me and Glenn have gone at it, and I wouldn't fix my lips to call him out his name, so I would hope and pray that the respect is mutual. But wow, yeah, no, y'all definitely have lasting effects on us. I don't understand how parents be missing it. You're not scarred by some of the stuff your parents did? Like, no.
You know, it comes to us as children at a certain point, especially when you have like an estranged relationship from your parents, to sit there and say like, I want to work this out, or whether it's not worth it. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes we get a lot of backlash, especially when we don't necessarily want to take that first step, because it's like, oh, we're supposed to obey our parents and things like that. But it's like, what if your parent is doing wrong? Like, we automatically, if the child is doing wrong, it's going to be pointed out. It's like, I'm your parent, you're supposed to respect me, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, what if you're the person doing something wrong? Are you as quick to jump and, say sorry? Like, obviously, with that particular situation, it was never a sorry. It had to be, okay, like, what's wrong? And then the sorry came. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I feel like it's really, really weird, because if you don't pick up those skills, you're just going to keep raising people who also don't pick up those skills, who will then raise more people. It's a horrible cycle, guys. And genuinely, like, I sit and I think about it, because it's like, Glenn was much different from Guilford, which Guilford is my biological dad. Glenn is my, I hate this word, stepdad. But
your bonus dad, yeah.
Bonus dad, there you go. Glenn was raised by his mom. He had a relationship with his dad, but Glenn was raised by his mom. And Glenn and Guilford, I mean, like, most people are very different, but just like the way that they parented also was very different. I feel like Glenn was more of a listener, and he wanted to hear what you had to say, even if he didn't agree with it, and he was going to cut you off probably. He wanted to hear what you had to say for the most part. Whereas like with Guilford, it's like, it's my way or the highway. We're not about to sit here and talk about this. I actually was having a conversation with him a few weeks ago, and he was like, well, I want to know what you have to say about this. And as soon as I like tried to get it out, it was like, boom. And he just started talking over me, and I'm like, all right, well, never mind, then forget it. I guess you don't want to know. Like, it's just so crazy. And honestly, I know a lot of people say that women can't raise men, but I feel like there are some guys when they're only raised by their moms. Forgive me for saying it.
Oh my goodness.
Forgive me for saying it. They come out a little bit better.
I'm hollering.
I'm sorry. It's like they have the equal balance of testosterone and estrogen, something right there. I don't know. It's just like.
But I feel like a lot of people are going to argue then they come out seeming a bit more feminine. Like they're just a bit more in touch with their feminine side, so they can often come off as a little bit more flamboyant than masculine. And some women are into that. I don't really mind it, because if you want to sit here and shop with me for different scents and you got different body washes that you about to put me on. But some women are like, why do you know that Bath and Body Works is having a sale, and why do you want to come? Like, you know what I'm saying? But it comes with that territory.
June 14th, guys, semi-annual sale. No, but I agree. I feel like you definitely get that, oh, he's a little too feminine for me, or he's a little like too sweet, a little sissy-ish. But I genuinely feel like if you are able to like find a balance and be a normal human being, I don't see nothing wrong with that. I'd rather that than for you to be like macho, like just like not trying to have any kind, like let your guard down. Y'all so quick to say everybody's so guarded. Like, you let your guard down so we can have a normal conversation. I don't know. I think the question that I really would like to sit down and just like ask, even if it's just like my own parents, or like we're at a family get together and I just go around the room with a microphone, like I genuinely want to know, like, what made you want to be a dad? And if you didn't want to be a dad, like, what made you stick around? Because let's not sit here and pretend like men don't skate. Like, it's a little easier for y'all to skate than it is for women to skate.
Because I still got to hold it down for 9 months before I can go anywhere.
Like, I'm incubating it, you know? But I genuinely would like to know, like, what made, and then if you weren't ready, like, because, you know, a lot of people say, for women it's natural, but for men, you know, like, they have to hold the baby, or they have to, like, some moment has to happen. What moment was that for them? Because it's like, I'm 25 right now. That took a lot to say. I'm 25 right now.
I'm 25 too, y'all.
Yeah, I mean, they know we the same age. Listen. But no, people are already asking me, like, when are you going to have kids? When are you going to have kids? When are you going to have... And I'm just like...
this conversation yet?
Y'all gotta chill. Like, first off, who says I'm ready to have kids? And then secondly, you gotta find somebody, consensual, willing mates, you know?
I'm not just having a child with anyone.
No ma'am, no sir. Like, that's a big commitment. I gotta be stuck with you for more than 18 years.
You make it seem like you could just hit return to sender sometimes. I'd be
y'all, yeah. Like, it's very baffling. And it's, people really be like, oh, it's just 18 years and then we done. No, like, there's still gonna be a part of your life, especially if the child has a relationship with their, like,
parents.
The wedding, the baby showers, the gender reveals, because y'all like to do those. Yeah, holidays.
Life, I don't know.
Exactly, like graduations and stuff like that. Like, these are not, at 18, unless you and your kid in cahoots, y'all don't just get to kick people to the side. So it's like, what really, like, was the moment that you were like, all right, I gotta step into fatherhood? And then I would love to know, like, what is your, like, proudest moment as a dad? Because I feel like everybody's answer would be different.
Yeah.
And I would just love to know, like, what made you feel like, yeah, I did that.
I mean, I can't, obviously I'm not a dad, so I can't, and I'm not a mom either, so I can't speak on it, but I don't think anyone is really ever fully prepared to be a parent until it happens. And, you know, when it happens, you have a choice to make, whether you want to make that choice to stick around and try to figure it out, or whether you, like you said, you want to escape. But some people who skate, they tend to come back and realize, you know, I shouldn't have done that. And sometimes it's detrimental to your child because depending on when you decide to come back 18 years later, I done had you for 18 years, and now usually 18 is the quote-unquote age where you're supposed to go out there and explore and be on your own, and now it's like you want to come and build a relationship, and that's not necessarily how it works. So I can't say what really makes someone want to be, or especially a dad, be a dad. You know, I think sometimes with men, it's having that like you said, that right father figure, or that figure in your life that kind of just wakes you up sometimes. And the same thing with anyone. Sometimes you just need that outside opinion to really just wake you up. And I think also you see people stepping up to the plate when they see someone else taking on that role, and it's like, dang, that should be me, but I just, you know, chose not to do it, or I didn't do it to the best of my ability. Or sometimes you have people who aren't necessarily ready, think they're ready, and then try to do it, and they're like, I don't want to, you know, ruin it. I don't want to mess this up. I know I need to get myself together before I can really be the mother or the father that my child really needs. So sometimes it's appropriate for them to step out of the way, because I don't necessarily want to have to be 6 years old and worrying about my dad falling downstairs because he's a manic alcoholic, and you know, now I'm in danger too. Like, that's a situation where it's like, I will understand why you walked away. You know, I wish you would have done it before or earlier on when I was a child or a baby, but you know, sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. So I can't say what really makes anyone want to be a parent, but I can say for women, usually we do have that motherly instinct that kicks in, and some people don't, or some people kind of, when the baby's here, it's kind of like you panic, you start getting postpartum depression and things like that. So it can go either way, but yeah, sometimes it's just that one moment that really just wakes you up and says, this is for me.
I would rather you know, be like, look, right now we ain't got it, I can't do it, you know, like, than for you to take the child and, like you said, endanger them, put them in harm's way, or put me in harm's way. Shoot, have me ready to fight you in the middle of the street, they call the cops, I'm locked up, now the baby's stuck with you. Like, what in the world? No. So I think that it takes a lot of strength to not skate, because if you just leave, trifling. But if you have like a legit like reasoning behind it and it's agreed upon mutually, then I can't fault you for that to a certain extent.
Yeah. And the story that I'm thinking of in my head, it's not related to a dad, but it was a mom specifically who, you know, just was completely unhappy with her life, and it was starting to affect her parenting. You know, she was doing, I don't remember, it was on another podcast that I was listening to, but she was explaining how she was in a situation that just wasn't right. So she literally just packed up, I think she was in an abusive relationship or something like that, actually. And she just packed her kids up and rode on to her parents' house. She was in a completely different state, some ways away. And, you know, she got there and she was just like, I don't have a job. Like, I have 2 kids. Like, what am I going to do? And she had a love for, I think it was yoga or something like that, but it was trap related. So she had a spin on it. So then she started traveling and, you know, it really became a thing. But she had to make that choice, like, I have to leave my kids with my parents for X amount of time in order to really sit here and pursue this dream, but I know this dream will help me provide for them. So as a parent, like, that has to be one of the hardest things, because you don't necessarily, you're not leaving your child, you're not neglecting your child, but you still want to fulfill this dream and provide a ways and not be miserable and all this other stuff. So when a parent, specifically a father, leaves, like you said, I just want to know sometimes what goes through your head. Like, are you thinking like, I'm just not fit right now, or like, F this, I don't want to do this, or is it like I didn't want this from the beginning, like you forced this on me, like what goes right? What was the reason?
Exactly.
What was the reason?
I think you really touched on it. Like, you will always, as a child, wonder whether it's your mom, your dad, your this, your that, you know, why didn't you stick around? Why didn't you choose me? Why couldn't we have worked it out? you left me at the age of 3, like, you know, that type. No, for real, like, I don't think that should be something that kids have to, like, go. Yeah, like, I feel like nobody should go through that, but, like, especially, like, if you were present and then you just decided to leave, I feel like that's a bit more detrimental than it is, like, I just never knew you. Which because I don't want to sound like crazy or nothing, but I do commend the genuine ones who want to come back in your life, not because you done made it big, not because, you know, you just got signed to the Lakers or something like that, like, but because they genuinely, like, I got it together now, and I can, like, be what you need from me now, or something along those lines. Like, most of the time, people don't want to sit down and, like, talk with their dad. I feel like that's the conversation that people would rather not have, because it's like, he about to tell me how it was when he was growing up, and he gonna sit here and ridicule me and probably compare my situation to his situation, blah 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 blah. I don't know. I feel like, and I say blessed because I really do feel like having your parents are a blessing, because these are the people that molded you, they nurtured you, all that good stuff. When you are blessed with the opportunity to be able to turn to them at the breakfast table, or like sit down and watch a movie with them, and okay, the movie went off, so how was your day kind of vibes, like, I think you should really take full advantage of that, because if there's no real issue that exists and you just kind of like don't want to be bothered with them because you don't want to be bothered with them, I think the issue, it falls on you, because you aren't taking the time out to really, like, get to know your old man, as people like to call him. Like, I get it, old people can be weird. I don't know how old y'all's parents are, but I know
my dad ain't no senior. I may joke with him and call him a senior, but he ain't really no senior.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I like to think all of our parents are either, like, early 50s, maybe mid 50s. I don't know.
Some people... no, because remember, we had old boy and old girl in middle school, and their parents was up there. You know exactly what I'm talking about, because you made the face.
I mean,
so it depends on your situation.
Yeah, again, but for the most part, our parents aren't, like, 90 years older than us. So if you want to, like, take the time to sit down and, like, talk to them, I mean, I think that's the coolest thing. It doesn't even have to be about their childhood or anything like that, but just, like, sitting down and taking that time to bond with them, it's beautiful. Because
again, it's like these type of conversations that we're having, and I hope that it resonates with someone else who's going through something like this, where you sit there and say, you know what, I know that my dad hasn't been the best person, or I know that I haven't been the best person to my dad. Let me sit there and try to make amends, because you truly never know how them leaving this earth is really going to affect you. Because some people have had estranged relationships for years and years, and they see that casket being pulled down, and it hits you completely different. You know, so yeah, I'm all for trying to mend a relationship. Oh, can't talk, y'all. I'm all for trying to mend a relationship. I'm all for y'all getting to know your daddies. Because, yeah, you never know. Because I definitely myself have those moments where I'm reflecting, like, if my dad or my mom was to leave right now, like, are we on good terms? Like, would my soul be at rest? Obviously, I would be upset, but would I be okay with the last thing that I said to them? You know? And I think that's something that, you know, I see a lot of dads doing sometimes too, a lot of couples specifically doing with their kids or between themselves, of making sure they're not going to bed angry with each other. And I think that's something that I would take up in my relationships with my spouse and my husband too, because you just never know nowadays.
Like, I just feel like we definitely need to just appreciate what we have while we have it. And I can't speak for everyone, but I ordered the Father's Day gift yesterday, so hopefully it gets here on time.
Y'all still, if y'all got some ideas, yeah, if y'all got some ideas.
Listen, men are not the easiest to shop for. Some dads are simple. You get them a little toolkit, you get them a grill set or something like that. Oh, I saw the sweater that you wanted. You know, some dads will paint it out for you. Paint the picture, hang it up in the living room. Put the date.
Told you 3, 4, 5 months in advance.
You know, it's worse than women who want to get married. Like, they'll put it out there. You know, And then some dads is just like, well, get me what you think I'd want.
Right, or I don't want anything.
Oh, like, the worst.
Nah, if I really don't get you anything, you gonna look at me crazy because I done got her something.
Exactly. Boy, let me get my mom something and not get guilt for something. Or Jesus be offense. Nah, it wouldn't work out. If I could, if we could end it on like a really light note, best piece of advice that your dad has ever given you, your favorite memory with your dad, and let me see, one trait, personality, skill, thing that you picked up from your dad. And remember those, because I'm not going to remember that order.
What about dad? Do I got to go in order?
No, you don't got to go in order.
I'm about to say, so if you know my dad, you know he jokes all the time, and it really drives me crazy sometimes. But I definitely feel like I picked that up for him, because like, if the situation's getting heavy, or like, so I like to just throw a joke in there to like bring it down, and my dad is very good at that, like in realizing how situations are, you know, getting a pretty intense. Mm-hmm. And bringing it back down to, you know, bring that peace. So I definitely think I've gotten that from him. One thing that my dad has instilled in me, proper planning prevents poor procedure, the 5 Ps. And he's really instilled that in my life, to make sure that, you know, you got to plan for certain things. You know, things are going to come in, you know, you may not plan 3-4 months in advance, but if you start realizing that something's going to happen, like, you need to, how are we going to go about it? We can't always cry over spilled milk. We gotta move forward. So I really appreciate him for that. Best memory? That's hard. There was a time, it was the first time we went to Disneyland, and I was tired, bro. Mind you, I'm a little kid, I was tired, but we were doing a lot that day. And I remember, this was when they used to do the Nickelodeon, like, slime and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I don't think our episode got aired, or I just never watched it, but I was on there, and they were like, where's your parents? And my mom had ducked down already, because she was like, absolutely not. And all you see is my dad, like, jump up, like, me, it's me. And I was just like, oh my God. But that's really one of the funniest memories, because he's always been there, you know, even when, you know, my mom may not want to take the spotlight, like, and not to say my mom ain't been there, because she's gonna curse me out. But
we seen you, girl, I know you there.
But yeah, like, he's always quick to jump to be like, yeah, that's, you know, my daughter, like, that's who she is. And that is one of the biggest memories, because it's like, the whole world needs to know that you're mine. So, shout out to my dad.
He claims you in public.
Oh, he does. And sometimes I'll be like, I don't know if I want to claim you.
Okay. I'm going to double up, because like I said, I got a bonus dad. All right, so best piece of advice. My dad, when I was in college, I was like, beat, y'all. I was through with it. I didn't understand. And I was on the phone with him one day, and I'm just like, he was like, how are you? And I'm like, I'm alright, you know, it is what it is. And he was like, no, this isn't the end. It gets better from here, I promise you. And I know that don't sound like a piece of advice, but it literally, like, when he said it, like, I don't think y'all understand how broke down I was. Like, my whole everything kind of like warmed up, and it really, like, it hit. And I keep that with me. It gets greater later is one of the things that he always says. So that's that. With Glenn, he really didn't give me like any, I won't say that. I'm sure he gave me advice. I just can't remember it off the top of my dome. But Glenn was one of those people where he just kind of let things like roll off his shoulders, and he pushed through. So he definitely was the type of person that would tell you, like, just keep going. No matter what it is, just keep going. So just keep swimming.
That's exactly what I wanted.
As far as like fondest moments, the one that I can remember like off the top of my dome from my dad, I was again in college. I was a senior in college, finna graduate, and at my school we didn't have like the super cool channels. I heard a lot of schools have like HBO and like Cinemax and Showtime. Caldwell?
Howard? Hello?
Like,
We got rats, but we can get.
I'm so sorry. Not rats. No, but like we literally had like your basic cable, so it was like USA, Channel 7, blah blah blah.
Bro, that TV. Go ahead, because I'm thinking about. Oh.
And listen, there were days where my TV stayed on TNT, and I believe TNT showed all of the Star Wars movies, and it got to the point where I've literally seen almost every single one, every single episode. And I was obsessed, and I would be on the phone with my dad, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm watching the Star Wars movie." And when I came home that Christmas, like, we went to go exchange gifts at his house, and he had wrapped all of my gifts in Star Wars wrapping paper. And to some people, it's like, oh, he was just being like a jokester or whatever. But like, that was the most like thoughtful, like heartfelt. Like, I just was sitting there like, wow, you really sat there like while you were at the store, even if you didn't have like the intention to go for it, like you still bought it and was like, Shania would like this. So it was just like, oh, my heart. My most like fondest memory with Glenn, we were making like banana pudding, or we were making something that required a crust, so it couldn't have been banana pudding, and then like it had like pudding in it, okay? And I was like, I want to do it, let me pour it, and he allowed me to do so. And it was one of those springform pans, and we didn't set it up right, or I didn't set it up right. And I went to go pour it and lift up the pan, and everything just fell. Like, it splattered all over the kitchen. And he walked in and he just started laughing. Like, he had that look on his face, if you know, you know. And then he started laughing, and I was like devastated. I was like, I've ruined it. He hates me. This is when they had just got married, so I just knew I was on like his sugar list from that point on. I was like, he spent so much time making this. Here I am ruining it. But he was really cool about it. Traits that I picked up: I have my father's temper. I step out of character like slides. Like, it's very simple. The simplest things trigger me. And it's bad. That's nothing to brag about. But I'm letting you know. Look both ways before you cross me, because it literally takes the simplest things. And then from Glenn, I would have to say it's like, I haven't fully adopted it, but the jokes. I feel like Glenn was
a jokester.
Glenn was definitely a jokester, and like he would use comedy even like at the worst times.
Yes.
And I'm just looking at him like, are you for real right now? Nobody's laughing. Let it, like, read the room. But
like, just look at Shai like, all right,
yeah.
I like it, but I know no one else is.
So I feel like that's definitely kind of like a lump of my fatherhood experience, not as a father, no kidding. So yeah, I hope y'all really take the time to celebrate the men in your lives, whether he's your uncle, your older cousin, your whatever. If he played, I'm screaming again, they get their day sometime soon in the future. I'm sure society will make it, but right now we're celebrating the man who had to come together with your mom to create you, or someone who stepped up in that role,
right,
that didn't buy you a Birkin bag.
So, this conversation, you already know. Are you shotting? Are you sipping?
I think I'm gonna sip to this because it's like, it's insightful. Maybe next time we might have a real dad sitting in the middle and be like, tell us. But no, this was fun to talk about because it really like made me think about my dads.
Yeah, I definitely am sipping to this too. I think dads is definitely doing. Why can't I talk, y'all? I definitely think dads deserve a toast to a lot that they do, because a lot of it goes unnoticed because they really just be out here grinding. Shout out to all of our friends who are fathers as well. Happy Father's Day to y'all. But yeah, I definitely think dads deserve more flowers than what they get. And to those people who give their dads flowers every single day, shout out to you. But if you haven't given your dad or, you know, your uncle, whoever is that father figure, role model, mentor in your life, a call them up today. All right? But yeah, y'all, I think that is it. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like this video. If you're listening, make sure you like as well. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Subscribe to our podcast channels on SoundCloud and on Apple Music. Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, y'all.
Mhm.
Wow. You don't know. We got something else coming. We coming with the
Exactly.
beats, baby. But all right, y'all. Bye.
Bye, y'all.